neurological condition called learned helplessness. And the experiment was they put a dog in a two-sided kennel. On one side, they electrocuted him. He'd escape to the other side, right? But when they electrified both sides, he had nowhere to go. So he went into what's called the apathetic state.
Wait, what's that? I don't know what that means.
Okay, now, I'm glad you asked the question. The apathetic state, he just took it and laid there. He didn't move.
Well, he can't get out.
Right. Now, when they turned the electricity off on the other side and they shocked him, he didn't even look for an escape when it was available. Right now, we opened all of the cell doors and the inmates talking about they waiting on the officer to do count first.
No, man.
Look, not only did we open all of the cell doors, we round all of the officers up, put them on the yard, tied them up, opened the front door and every door between each cell block, and they still don't want to go out because they're waiting on the officers to do count.
So you mean to tell me it is a mental thing, like they really
all psychological.
That far gone in
That's how far gone we are.
But not everybody ain't like that.
Right. Now, the little few of us that came out the cell, we trying to coax these motherfuckers out, and they still arguing with us about count time.
Yeah, that's true.
This is what we're looking at. Right now. This is what we're looking at.
I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. Hey, y'all, why can't y'all? I'm not special, bro. I grew up in Caprini Green projects. I come from nothing. You know what I'm saying? Mama was up to Milwaukee.
I know what you're talking about.
When I got old enough, I moved to Florida. I'm like, I need some sunshine and some away from this. It's like, if I could see it, I'm not special. If I could see it, how come these other... Don't everybody got that little voice in their head to say, okay, this is right and this is wrong?
Right, but everybody can't see what you see.
Well, yeah, I get that part. My mama keeps telling me, you come from a different cloth. And she keeps telling me she's going to send me a piece of that cloth. But at the end of the day, I'm like, mama, but it's common sense. It's like, how come everybody knows? I would think everybody knows what's going on. I mean,
half our people still think we can't look. Half our people look. Half our people still believe the slave narrative that they brought millions upon millions upon millions of niggas packed like sardines with no bathroom, no running water, on the ship for 90 days. That they would have been dead in a week. Nowhere to shit, nowhere to vomit. They'd have been dead. But we believe that story right now.
That's a methane casket. That's a methane casket.
But that's the narrative that our people stuck on. That's why we can't get past it, because we looking at it like we from somewhere else, therefore we don't got no claim to where we at.
Right. I don't want to cut you off, but I gotta say this real fast. For anybody that's watching this, stop believing the hype. Unlearn everything that you think you know, and go sit around some people that got some real knowledge. If you don't know what to do, don't do nothing. Just look at somebody that is doing something that's actually talking common sense. Learn a little bit from these people. They trying to tell y'all. It's like end game, but for the ones that know, it's the beginning game. And the ones that don't know is scared to death. And that's the whole narrative. They want to keep everybody scared, keep everybody in the house. Don't go nowhere. You gonna get something gonna happen bad. Man, what's wrong with people?
Exactly. So the system that we was under was designed to do exactly what we see now.
Well, so the system is over.
Look, so now in order for us to get our stuff back, our people gun shy. They holding the gun pointed at the enemy, but they don't want to pull the trigger. So what we did, we had to use
pull that motherfucker, y'all. Pull it.
We had to use the ceremonial $5 Indians to do our work for us. They become a ceremonial tribe that we can use because the enemy was using them first as their cat's paw. So now we can use them to undo what the enemy done to us. So if you go back, it was if you go to TikTok, look, if you go to TikTok, put in Muskogee Creek, put Atlanta on notice. Muskogee Creek,
Atlanta on notice.
Right. Now, let me tell you the significance of that. Atlanta is the stronghold for the Louisiana Purchase in the expansion in the Indian Territory by the English. And the presidents is the ones who sanctioned it by putting Atlanta on notice to shut down. Everything that followed that on the timeline is also on notice simultaneously. So they went back down the Trail of Tears, put Atlanta on notice.
Just said a whole mouthful. Everything finna happen in reverse for real?
It's already been playing out, but we ain't been watching it because we've been watching what the Biden Times show.
No, that's the stage show. It's like what, 4, 5, 6 of them? Which one you talking about?
That's been my point the whole time. I've been showing people that they're different people.
Oh, wait. I gotta finish writing this down. You said Muskogee Creek, Atlanta on notice.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
and you notice that the girl in there close to the end, she say for the black and for the ceremonial Muskogee Creek Indians. Their status is ceremonial, right?
Right.
Because they were being used as a cat's paw. Because they was used against us as a cat's paw. So the same way they used them against us, we using them against them. If you put in SikApe, puts Pope on notice in Canada.
Wait, spell that for me. Can you please spell that for me?
SIPICO, I think is how you spell it.
Okay.
Puts Pope on notice in Canada.
Okay.
You notice that she's telling them that the matriarchs has elected the chiefs across the land and to govern themselves accordingly.
Well, you wise, you better.
His response was, but it really wasn't him. Whoever was sitting in the Vatican as a secretary had to type up a repudiation of the discovery doctrine. What do that mean? When the Catholic Church repeals the discovery doctrine, the fruits of the poison tree apply. By repealing the discovery doctrine, reverse everything back to the original owners that the discovery doctrines took it from.
Okay.
Now they gave it all back. Wow. We just have to go through what's called a process to get it back. They gave it back already. They already surrendered, tapped out, rolled over. They did. Now we had to go through a systematic process, and it takes time of restructuring the government, determining which lines of demarcation we're going to keep, which ones we're going to get rid of, right?
Right.
How we going to allocate the resources of the land, right? How we going to rearrange the military, because the whole military is now under the control of the National Guard. Because the military was a foreign agent under the corporation, but once we take it over, they have to be part of the National Guard. As part of the National Guard, they can do domestic policing. Right? So now...
Wait. So you mean to tell me that they're going to be able to get all of these dirty mouths? All of the ones that's been doing all this dirt to the babies, stealing our money, lying to us about everything, they're going to just be able to get them?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you to a step further, most of them already been got.
Well, listen, I got a list in my phone of people that has, supposedly, but I don't know, because you know how the internet is. Should you believe it? Is that real, or is that just some talk? But the more I listen to you, Rod, hey, but before I get off here, I know you got other people, Mama. I ain't trying to take up the whole thing, but I just got one more question. I'm gonna get off of here. I heard you in another live say that the national debt is a national debit. Can you expand on that just a little bit?
That was the money they had stole from us that they had to give us back. That was already done.
Okay.
The military seized all that money and paid the debt off in 2017.
And that's why they got all that gold coming back over here on. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
All right.
the BRICS nations is building an economic dam to push the American dollar back home. So now we can deal with and contend with reclaiming our economic security of the nation. As long as we got money.
They already know who he is, man. They know, but we don't know. Not me, but not you, not her. But there's a lot of us that don't know.
Look, that's why you have a lot of these guys. They all giving everybody what they can tolerate at the time to raise their level.
Yeah. Okay.
Big Mama got us all doing our part in our arena.
I was just going to tell you something you just said to everybody else. You asked your mom a long time ago, how long is it going to take? As long as it take.
It take how long it take, baby. That's what she said.
Hey, I ain't trying to hold y'all up. I'm going to let somebody else come in. But, hey, I appreciate you, big bro. Miss Lady, I appreciate you for letting me in.
Thank you, Pin. What I have here. Let's see. So the question is by Classic Beauty 16. What's up with the October 4th alarm?
It's an alarm. Look, it's telling us something, right? A lot of people panicking that it's going to activate nanobots in people's bodies and all this stuff. I don't know nothing about none of that. I know that the day that they picked is TN4, which is computer lingo. I mean, CB, Citizen Band Radio jargon. It's trucker talk, right? Truckers are transporters across the land. When Big Mama get a union order, just like you see these auto workers can't get a contract, Big Mama tell the truckers they ain't running no goods. They're shutting everything down. The 10-4 is a confirmation on the CB radio talk. The time that they picked is 2:22. In masonry, 2:22, some level has raised, right? So the 22 is the process. It's in the process of rising. The 2:22 is it's completely raised. So whatever they telling us, a level has been achieved to move the collective up a level. Whatever that is, the events to follow that will show us what level we was raised to.
Okay. Next question is, when you dream of multiple totems, how do you know which is correct?
So the totem animals, they talk to you. You will have a affinity for your strongest totem animal over the rest of the totems. So let's say that you, everywhere you go, you playing with somebody's dog. You get a dog, a bird, and a fish in the dream. The dog will be your totem animal in the dream, but it's just communicating with other totems, being the fish and the bird. So it's showing you in the dreamscape the communication between three totem clans. That's just an example. Dreams is required, it's variables involved in translating the dream. You got to ask the people specific question about what led up to the dream, what went on in the dream, and then you got to get a feel for how their perception is, and then you can read how they dream interprets.
Okay. Next question is by Yanat Trinity. Will it be effective if we, melanated people, started off by taking our children out of schools?
You're supposed to been did that. The school is they got some nefarious shit playing for the school. I'm gonna leave that at that because I don't like talking about it because I don't like to. I don't see gloom and doom, but I do see catalyst events that looks gloomy and doomy.
Mm. Okay. Next question is, what is the tribe for the last name James? They claim Cherokee, but I know, let's see, I know Cherokee. They claim Cherokee, but I know Cherokee is iffy.
Yeah, Cherokee is what's called a catch term, like more used to classify people with different backgrounds under one tribal banner. That was done by the secret societies. But if you do the etymology to Cherokee, you know you can find the two tribes that they were before they changed the name to Cherokee. They will become the host tribes of everybody classified as Cherokee, and the ones who are not the actual tribe by blood become ceremonial or adopted clansmen.
Okay.
But James, when you go back to the original word, is Ionis, and that means fish. So they tell you they old Mississippians or a related tribe that live close to the rivers and the streams. Put a fish cage to catch crawfish in the river. That's all it is. They traps. You get in there, it's so hard to get out. The remedy for the discovery of fraud in the contracts is to abandon all contracts. It's called the abandonment defense in law. Before they came over here, we had kept records, but our traditions was oral. Our lawgivers spoke the law to the people repeatedly in the town square till everybody understood what the law was. Right? They would tell it in story format as a metaphor. And you still had these same stories or legends, as they call it, that was given our oral tradition all over the land. We go back to our oral tradition, all we need is timestamp dated public domain dialogue with the general public. Notice the agent, notice the principal. You don't need no paperwork. The Indigenous Rights Act of the United Nations, the Indigenous Rights Act of the United States, both say that we have an absolute right to return to our oral tradition. And then Elijah Muhammad said, accept your own and be yourself. That means don't do what they do what we do. We use the oral tradition to overcome the paperwork barrier. You don't need no paperwork. The paperwork is the paper chain because they are contracts. If you put them on notice, the notice that you wrote to put them on is already patented by them. You just tricked yourself in the contract. Anybody that's trying to get you to get nationality cards, knowingly or unknowingly, they slave catchers.
Okay. Okay. So another thing they taught us that it was evil. For what is voodoo, and can you explain in terms how the voodoo and voodoo, if there's a difference? But they taught us that this stuff was evil. So how is that you teach us what's evil, but you practice it? So can you elaborate a little bit on what voodoo is and the difference in the terms voodoo and voodoo?
Well, you got a couple of words: voodoo, voodoo, hoodoo, Santeria. It's denominational, the same as Baptist, Pentecostal, Presbyterian, but it's earth science. The women who are proficient in it, they are the ones that hold the secrets to how we defend Earth against foreign invasion from other places. They wanted us to believe it was evil because if we start studying and practicing it, they can't keep us trapped mentally, psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally no more. They either made anything that's natural to our culture illegal or immoral. You gotta remember that. You gotta always remember that everything that we was doing, they either made it illegal or immoral.
That's a fact.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now you got a people that's righteous by nature, and you tell them the stuff that they normally did before these people came is unrighteous, and that the shit that they brought you in a book is the righteous shit.
Mm-hmm.
So we become more Christian than the Pope himself. We be more Islamically Muslim than the Imam, than the sheikhs. We be more Hebrew Israelite than any rabbi. It ain't none of that shit got nothing to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as they get you to accept a false spiritual persona, you don't have access to your own spiritual power.
Exactly.
Right? So they lead you astray with willful intent for you to never return to who you are and what you already did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So those sciences are the same, but they culturally colored around the world. In Asia, you know, Shaolin monks, Buddhist monks, they all got the earth science embedded in their doctrine. Right? When you get to the Middle East, and thus spoke Zarathustra, it's all earth science. You get to Jamaica, Ras Clodman, what you talking? I Selassie, King of King, Lord of Lords, conquering land of the tribe of Judea. Nine ether, what we call the science of Ethiopia, or the ether science, the science of nine ether, right? Which is also known as root black science. The black root is the primordial noon. We call it dark matter, but it is prime creator herself, Big Mama, right? And the nuns of the Catholic Church is supposed to be mirror images to the primordial noon. They all supposed to be wearing white, but the Pope got them all in black because Big Mama wear black. The Pope put on white.
Mm-hmm. That's heavy. That's heavy. My last question: the doulas and midwives services is a big must need. It's a needed thing here, and for our women's health and birthing, what is being done towards that for our people, if you know of anything, because I know you deal with a lot of doulas, midwives, you know. There's so many. My daughter, recently had a baby, and I watched the different things that have gone on, with her going to a hospital versus having a center, here. And it's needed all over. There were days back in the day, we had black hospitals. I remember we had one here. And we had midwives and we had doulas, and they birthed babies, and we had our own hospital. So why is it something has to be done, Rod? Because if we're stemming away from, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor, but if we're going to stem away from it, we got to build our own hospitals and our own place for birthing centers and educating these women, because they go through so much, and a lot of these young women who have children, they don't know anything about breastfeeding. It's so much that needs to be, educated. They need the education. So where are we in this thing with building towards this? Because it's so needed.
Well, the sister was just talking about that Phoenix Rising. on Instagram. She is a doula instructor. She instructs both birth doulas and death doulas.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we call birth doulas obstetricians and gynecologists,
Mm-hmm.
right? But those are westernized enemy combatants, right? They don't know it all the time. Some of them figure it out along the way, but they don't say nothing.
Well, I need their information of these people, these women, because it's we gotta start. I mean, there's so many states. We got cities, areas, countries where people can't make it to the hospital, but it's just so much needed. It's so much needed to be taught on the yoni itself, okay? And how we really don't have to go to OBGYN to heal ourselves of a lot of this stuff. So I would like...
You know, the doula is also the pediatrician and child psychologist for proper child development.
And that's what's
You
needed.
hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. So it's like having a coach when you have a baby for the next 4 or 5 years. Some doulas be in the family for a lifetime.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay, so the next question is, how were our family tribal medicine men and women chosen, the healers and the shamans?
They was most likely born and they just had a natural draw. And then most of the time it'd just be the kids that hang out with the medicine man or the medicine woman in the village. They just go down there, help her pick her little herbs out of her herb garden and whatnot. That's because they naturally was born to be into that field of growing the medicine and stuff like that. But the aptitude for the child is increased by the parent organized the early teaching of the picking of the herbs and the identifying of them. By the time they get to be teenagers, you know, you say, I need this herb, this herb, this herb, they can go pick it fresh because they know what they are. By the time they get in their 20s, then they...
Hi, welcome to the chat. My name is Jackie. I had a question concerning the Moors, actually a couple of them, but the first one was, is it true? I'm not sure why I'm getting a feedback. Oh, okay. Is it true that the Moors leased the land to the white people here that enslaved
That's a half truth.
Okay. Yeah, I never got to expound on it. It's
What
very
they...
hard to find info on it. But I mean, I'm
So what
curious was what
they
you
did,
knew.
DC is the only thing that was America. Everything out of DC was tribal land. They tricked us into thinking that they had all of the land, that it was never theirs. They don't have any treaties or documents saying that. Matter of fact, the Supreme Court ruled already that the whole of the United States was Washington, D.C. because it's just a corporation. Washington, D.C. was supposed to be the crash site where we smashed our land mass into something called the Plymouth, right? So they didn't sell them the land because they never had the rights to the land. They sold them the illusion of the rights to the land by using the paperwork to appear to be legitimate. We never... No chief that's worth his weight in feces is going to ever sign any treaty to surrender the land because we believe that's the same as selling your mama.
Okay. The second question is also the land. I mean, that's the word that we know as Africa, but I know that there was another name. But I was just wondering, was this the original Africa
That's
here,
the
the U.S.?
that's
So many,
The Moorish
yeah, go
narrative is to describe this landmass as Northwest Africa, aka Al Maghrib. But they will never be able to produce a map older than 1492 that calls this Al Maghrib. They will never be able to produce a map that calls this ancient Morocco. How in the fuck is this ancient Morocco when Morocco ain't even ancient? So what? That's them spreading their dogma to usurp our birthright. And this was all done by what we call the Khazarian Mafia, which is the same complexion or darker than me. And they use pale faces so that they can take the fall for their dirt.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They do that. Okay, because they had this. There was a video I saw of a guy saying that he was in a museum and that he showed the map, and it was like the directionals are all flipped, and you've seen that.
His name's Frank Burrell.
It's been around for a while.
And he's a very powerful brother, and he know what he's talking about. And the map was flipped because south has always been up. But they told us north was up. What do that do? Psychologically, it disorients you. What do disorient mean? The orientation is disturbed. So now you disoriented about the direction that you is on the planet that you own. Everything that you pick up is coming in upside down and backwards now. Now you fertile ground for deception.
Escaped. They didn't really lose any war. There was no real war. Were they the ones that really run like our pharmaceutical companies and NASA?
So what you want to research is coming to America is Operation Paperclip. Yep. And Operation Paperclip, all of the greatest minds that regime used in Germany was given asylum and immunity to prosecution from The Hague by working and establishing what we know today is NASA and a few other places that they deeply entrenched in the society, but they ain't the ones. It's the ones that sent this. The one. Okay, so if you go back to the war, you see all of these pale-faced people, skinny. Well, most of us are unaware of is that they was there before they took power. And they was put there by people that look like me. They called them people that they put in the pets. Right? Was already written years before took power. So they just reran a narrative